going on with this here, guys, though, it says the eviction ultimately cost the county $40,000, well beyond the cost of simply housing the families, a point the moms are now zeroing in on ahead of looming eviction wave. So again, instead of just housing moms and children, you're going to spend $40,000 on the raid alone. Now imagine these women did end up going to jail and stuff like that as well. So just consider by the end of this, it probably cost $80,000 to $100,000. That could have kept all those moms and their children in housing for the full year, and the whole thing could have been avoided. But no, you have to protect the property rights of a giant corporation that speculates on one of the most needed commodities for human life, housing. Right. Absolutely insane. You know how on the police cars it says to serve and protect? Yeah, to serve you an eviction notice and to protect the private property of some fucking real estate investment firm. That's what it's about. Going on here, guys. There still hasn't been any explanation of why they came with that much force for mothers and babies. I mean, just think about it, guys. Insane. The January eviction was a very violent display and was meant to cause terror in folks who are standing up for their human rights, Walker says. This is the police state that we live in, and we already read this quote, where they will spend tens of thousands just to make you get out of speculatively owned property. So again, guys, this is what this came down to. This is to make an example out of peasants. This is to make an example of working class people. Hey, don't think about squatting on our investment. I know you're homeless. I know you're hungry. Don't think about going into housing that's vacated anyways to try to give shelter to your family. And don't think about, as in past examples where we saw police show up and crack down on people dumpster diving for food that was thrown out due to a power outage, still fresh food. Don't think about even taking the scraps away from the people who have all the money and the power, because if you do, we'll show up with jackboots and gun barrels. It's the same as hanging. This is the same process, really, of hanging the rabble rouser in the city square that we've seen throughout history, right? This is what this is, to make no mistake about it. Going on here, guys, I think we'll have a video coming up. Play this for you guys. Oop, hang on. Sorry about that. I don't know why the sound didn't start.
Now to some breaking news in Alameda County. Oakland deputies forcibly removing the Moms for Housing group from that vacant house on Magnolia Street. Let's get right over to CBSN Bay Area's Jackie Ward at the scene. Jackie?
Michelle, the eviction process is drawing quite a crowd here at 30th and Magnolia in West Oakland. Take a look at all of these people who are here. Of course, the area by the home has been blocked off by the Alameda County Sheriff's Office. They have armored officers here. They have a lot of people in support standing here as well. Earlier this morning, the sheriff's deputies had to knock down the door and break through it in order to get the moms and kids out. They have arrested 5 people so far, including the moms and some of the protesters and supporters here. The Moms for Housing group released a statement earlier this morning. They said, quote, instead of allowing us to buy this home through the Oakland Community Land Trust for exactly what they paid for it, Wedgwood CEO Greg Geiser has chosen to enact physical violence on us and our families. We won't leave our home, and our neighbors, friends, and family are standing with us in solidarity. So this just happened around 5 this morning. That was when we first got word that the Alameda County Sheriff's Department was here. They are evicting the Moms for Housing group who lives here. They've been living here since November. The home is owned by Wedgwood Properties, who has offered to pay for their moving expenses and for shelter for 2 months at Catholic Charities. Those mothers have called that offer an insult. So this is what's happening today. We will continue to stand by and bring you the latest information on this eviction.
All right, guys. So, as I said, this happened a couple of years ago. But, I mean, in that video, you can just see fucking militarized police showing up to kick mothers and babies out of a vacant home, right? There's no one living there. And as it said in the video as well, the mothers tried to get together with the land trust in the community to buy the home for what the speculative real estate property investment firm paid for it, So this is a key component of the housing crisis we're facing right now. Is housing has ceased to be about housing human beings. You know, it's in the name, housing. It's become another speculative commodity, just as disgusting and asinine and completely irrational as NFTs, right? And we saw this as well with the housing crisis in 2008, where they completely tanked the economy by speculating on subprime mortgages, right? Housing has become an asset, a figure on a screen to be bought, sold, and traded, right? And human beings that are in need of housing are at the bottom of the list of those who get considered. It's whoever has cash in hand. It doesn't matter if you sit it, and this is why a lot of these places end up being vacant for so many years, is because they're waiting for a fluctuation in the market, just like you would with a stock or a bond. You're waiting for it to go up or down to sell it or to buy more. So these houses or these commercial buildings, i.e. malls or office buildings, will sit completely vacated for years and years and years, sometimes a decade or more, while there's millions of human beings homeless on the street, just because they're waiting for the profit margin to be, you know, large enough or wide enough for them to sell it and make a profit. And you have to consider this in a zoomed out existential way. How sick and perverse and how mixed up our priorities are as a society that the profit margin of a real estate investment company takes precedent over human beings in need of a home. The homes are out there. The spaces are out there for people to not be in the cold or the heat or the desolate environment sleeping on the concrete. But instead of just moving them in there really shouldn't even be a discussion. Just let's get them in there. Let's, get the government agencies like, hey, you need housing? Here's a house, here's an apartment. Oh, if the community doesn't have enough, here's a fucking vacated mall or an office building. We're going to take the offices. We're going to take the storefronts. We're going to turn them into housing where there's beds and homes and shit. I mean, there is no excuse for this other than the lack of political will, a lack of political will that exists because these real estate firms buy and sell politicians the same way that they buy and sell homes, right? Just disturbing stuff, guys. And this is a trend that we're only going to see continue to be exacerbated as capital continues to be conglomerated, compounded into some of these larger firms like Vanguard or BlackRock, right? The more capital crystallizes, the more capital conglomerates and monopolizes in on itself, compounding more and more and more, the more far removed the capitalist becomes from the society as a whole, right? They become wrapped in a cocoon of capital, and one could even picture that what comes out of this cocoon is the butterfly, the moth of fucking fascism, as the contradictions of this wealth compounding becomes so large, with so many people on the outside of this cocoon becoming disenfranchised, that the capitalist in control of the state turns to fascist means to continue to control its control over wealth, right? Let's see here, guys. I have a couple more videos from this story I want to share with you guys because it's just so indicative of how severe this contradiction has come between the haves and the have-nots. So we'll go on here with this next one, right?
A live look now from Chopper 5 over.
Okay, so this next one is a few days after the initial eviction, right? And you can see from the housing here, they've set up barricades. I mean, just insane. There's nobody living here. My understanding is there's no one going to be living here. There's no one buying the home. It's just sitting here waiting for the price to go up or to be resold at a profit. And, you've probably got a homeless family on the corner nearby here, right out of shot. And instead of just putting them in there, you've got a fucking fence around it. Absolutely insane. So we'll roll this for you guys.
That house in West Oakland, you can see a fence now around the property.
And a live look now at Santa Rita Jail in Dublin, where the people arrested during that eviction process were taken.
Let's get right over to our Jackie Ward live in Oakland, where members of the group Moms for Housing were trying to prevent deputies from getting into the home. Jackie?
And Michelle, just minutes ago, this fencing was put up. The windows and doors are boarded up. The eviction notice is on the door, and now some of the moms are in jail.
This house was a statement. It was a symbol of what needs to happen in Oakland. This was an absolute victory. We're still victorious, and we're going to keep it moving.
At 5:15 this morning, the Alameda County Sheriff's Office carried out an eviction order for the people living at 2928 Magnolia Street, dressed in full riot gear with automatic weapons. They arrested 2 of the moms and 2 of their supporters.
We're here, moms.
Within 15 minutes, more than 300 Moms for Housing supporters were out on the street.
Who's out? Moms out! Who's out? Moms out!
We have to keep fighting because we see what we're up against, and they're scared of us. They're scared of people power, and we got to show them. We have to mobilize, and we have to show them that we're here and we're not going anywhere.
Sergeant Ray Kelly with the Sheriff's Office said this was not your typical eviction, given the amount of attention it's gotten. The sheriff said the moms made it nearly impossible to open the doors.
We could not enter the home traditionally with a key or using a locksmith. They were fortified in such a way that we had to use a ram and a tremendous amount of force.
What is this police force? What is this military force for? Because we had hundreds of people? Hundreds of people weren't out here with AR-15s to combat the sheriffs.
The owner of the home, real estate development company Wedgwood Properties, released a statement following the eviction saying, quote, "Wedgwood is pleased this illegal occupation of its Oakland home has ended peacefully. That is what we have sought since the start. We will now work with a nonprofit to renovate the home, giving opportunities to at-risk Oakland youths and splitting the profits with the nonprofit so that others may benefit. As this movement continues to grow, some Oakland residents are scared that homeless moms may move into their property.
We are not trying to take the individual properties of moms and pops. Don't let Sam Singer tell you that. Like, what if they decide to take my car? What if they decide to take my house? We're not talking about that. We're talking about the greed of wealthy corporations that are robbing all of us.
We asked Dominique where she would live now that she can't live here on Magnolia Street. She said her community had her back and all the children are safe. The children were fortunately not home when the eviction was served. This is a live look from Chopper 5 of the Santa Rita Jail in Dublin, where the 4 people who were arrested are expected to be released any moment now. 4 people, that includes 2 of the moms who lived at this home and 2 of their supporters. Live from West Oakland, Jackie Ward, KPIX 5.
All right, so you get the idea here, guys. So obviously you saw the sheriff's deputy or whatever, the commissioner or whoever he was, make it out like they showed up in force like this because a bunch of moms and babies were fortified in the home. And also that they showed up with such a large militarized force because there was people gathering to show their support. They showed up with guns. They showed up with an armored vehicle, battering rams. Absolutely insane. And I want to drive home to you guys that however you feel about police, I know there's some people that probably watch the show that are still on the fence about police, you know, the discussion around defunding the police, moving away from our current policing systems. They say, oh, well, we need police to stop crimes and, you know, public safety and stuff like that. Okay. We're not going to have a discussion about that today. But I want to drive this home that if the economy tanks, and you lose your job, and you can't pay your bills, and you own a home or you rent a home, it is the police, it is the sheriff's department that will be kicking in your door with a fucking machine gun or a shotgun to get you out of that house so that that property can go back to the bank or to the landlord, okay? Whatever you think. Maybe you think that they keep you safe or stop you from getting raped or do all this or that, which statistics show is not fucking true. But let's just say it is true. Okay, this militarized police force, as this woman put it from Moms with Housing, is explicitly designed to protect private property. And guess what? If you're not able to pay the rent or the mortgage on that private property, it doesn't matter that you've been paying rent for decades, been paying your mortgage and have it almost paid off, they will kick you out at gunpoint. And if you try to resist, they'll arrest you, throw you in a cell, or worse, beat your fucking brains in or put a bullet in the back of your head. Okay? They are the agents of capital. That's what police do. That is their primary purpose, is to defend private property. And you are on the opposite side of that class war. That needs to be clarified.
Yes, I know.